Yeah, but yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. So they're doing their job, right? So you were just saying maybe we should back off. I mean, that they had to follow guidelines, they had to follow objectives, strategies to bomb these areas, and maybe let them go. But you probably have some sort of resentment towards them, right? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's unfortunate, right? It's a tricky question to answer. It's a slippery slope for sure. So, what do you do, especially when these bombing runs may have killed your family members, your friends, maybe places of worship, maybe entertainment centers. Obviously, your job's gone. Oh man, I couldn't imagine. Couldn't imagine transportation destroyed, roads, bridges, railroads. Yeah, your whole way of life just changed like that. And you see the enemy, you see the people that did it walking down the street right in front of you, who are unarmed, really. And it's interesting to see how people maybe lash out. I mean, I'm not saying it's justified or anything, but it's kind of hard to hold yourself back in that scenario, right? Yeah. Troy, what do you think, buddy? Cuss them out. You have a mouth like a sailor back there, huh? Oh, I hear you. I hear you. So you probably won't throw any rocks or anything like that. Okay. Okay. Troy, you're a good man. I won't believe you would do it. 40 up here. I don't know. He says one thing, but I don't know how you. I'm just kidding. Jeffrey, what would you do, buddy?
Probably curse them out a bit, but I probably also curse out any German officials I see because they didn't really step up and really help out the city after.
Oh,
So they're just as much to blame for the situation as the same people that bombed the city.
okay. All right. All right. That's a different view of it.
Probably gets into a concentration camp or something.
Yeah. Anyway, that's going on, and all of a sudden we want to try
I
to.
get shot on the spot.
Yeah. What the heck? What the heck? Okay. Okay. So that's your perspective of it. Yeah. You want? What about the code of ethics? What do you think?
That went out the window.
Out the window. Yeah. I feel like everybody kind of wrote that down well, anyway, from what I've read, graded so far before class started. Yeah. Autumn, what do you think? What would you do? Yeah, you got to think about it. Everybody in the town is probably encouraging everyone to, beat these men up and throw items at them. And if you didn't, maybe they viewed you as a traitor. Maybe you get casted out of your own town. And like I said, especially if one of your friends, your family members were killed in these bombing runs, I really don't know how I would react either. I mean, it's a terrible thing that happens, but I don't know how would you even react to that. Kira, what do you think?
I said I would probably just kind of not necessarily like lynch them what they did, but I would.
Join in somewhat?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, okay. Gracie?
I'd be pretty mad, but I probably wouldn't have any words for them because, like, what am I gonna say to them?
Yeah, you'd be already shooken up, right?
Just be in shock.
Yeah, yeah. That's a good point too. I mean, emotionally, it's
In
like,
the end, they were doing their job. What they were told, it's not their fault that they got told to do that. They were just
carrying out a mission, right? Yeah, yeah. Carrying out a mission, right? Yeah, I bet it would be emotional too. I mean, like you said, kind of put you in your place a little bit to see what was going on. And I mean, if everybody's doing this, and what do you really do? You kind of just sit back, watch, and you won't stop them though. You won't try to persuade them to stop. No. Okay. Okay. Trinity, what do you think? Oh, you didn't get it done? Okay. Warnwald, you weren't here yesterday. You watched the lesson? No? Okay. All right. So anyway, yeah, I mean, it's definitely something that is, a question on many ends. It's like, how would you react if your town just got bombed? If, like I said, your way of life was destroyed right in front of your eyes, and you see the men that may have been involved, which we know they weren't, but they're still doing bombing runs in many areas all throughout Germany. So yeah, I guess you could say they're a part of this. And how would you react if you were one of these citizens during that time? I mean, it's like I said, there's a code of ethics in warfare, but realistically, kind of no one really follows it. especially today. There's still a lot of ethics that are being crossed, and Serena and I talked too. And the United States really didn't follow these code of ethics too much either, in many occasions, especially what we talked with Vietnam War, right? And Agent Orange, napalm, and it's unbelievable. But I mean, in warfare, a lot of those ethics, a lot of those codes just kind of get thrown to the side. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of the way it is with warfare. All right. What else did I want to talk about with that? There's something else I wanted to discuss. I'll have to think about it here too. But anyway, what happened to the German citizens? That's what I wanted to ask. What happened to these German citizens? A few of them, anyway. How many? How many were? Well, I don't want to give it away. Jeffrey?
9 were put on trial for war crimes.
Okay, 9 of them. All right. Okay. Well, how many were actually convicted and maybe put to death? We have Griffin. 5. Yeah. So they actually have. I'm not telling you to look them up or anything. They actually have a video of these men being trialed and being hung in public, and they actually have it videotaped. And I don't know why they videotaped that, but I guess to just prove that these crimes were followed through, and I guess the verdict, right, was followed through with what happened. And after the war, okay, we'll talk about these Nuremberg trials with these German head officials. And this was one unique story of citizens in a town being put to trial and put to death for their actions against these American pilots. And like I mentioned, with the wham bam, thank you, ma'am, two of the airmen of that group survived. And like I said, one of them actually lived in Klingerstown, Pennsylvania, not too far from here. So I always think that's a unique story, pretty cool story. And obviously, there's many people around the area that have some sort of stories like this, and we need to be careful of how we maybe ask these questions of what may have occurred. And in the article and the reading, it even stated that these men tried to not talk about it, okay, because they kind of understood why these German citizens acted out. And obviously, it would be a little bit hard to talk about, especially these 2 men hiding literally underneath the bodies of their friends, of their fellow soldiers, right, fellow pilots. And that wagon for a long period of time as they were carrying them to a destination. And then a bombing run came through. Then the German citizens kind of stopped. So this gave them a little bit of time to escape and push literally their friends' bodies off of them to escape and run away, where they'd later be caught again and placed in a prisoner of war camp. So this was, like I said, an unbelievable story, an unfortunate story especially. But in warfare, like I said, in some cases, anything goes. But in this case, some of these German citizens of Russelsheim were put to death of their actions. Okay. And again, that's kind of where, as a civilization, we try to move forward, try to not forget about it, but make sure we have some sort of example set that this isn't allowed to happen again. And like I mentioned, what Serena and I talked about, it's never ending, really. A lot of these guidelines are crossed daily. I mean, even today, especially in China, what's going on. It's just unfortunate. All right, is there any questions on that? No? Okay, again, I thought that was a pretty cool article and an interesting read, especially with someone local involved. All right, so we're going to move on here today. So I got a bell ringer for you real quick. So how does the advantage in World War II move to the Allied powers by 1943? So by 1943, it looks like things are changing. Okay, it looks like the Axis powers are now on the run and being pushed back, and which we talked about, one of them actually surrendering in 1943. So how does it look like the Axis powers, the Allied powers, how does this look like it's changing a little bit during this war by 1943? All right. So, what are some, I guess, say, key ideas of how the Allied powers are now having an advantage by 1943? What do we have here? What do we think? Give me one reason why the Allied powers are now on the move here and looking like they might win this war. Jeffrey?
We turn the tides in the Pacific theater.
Okay, Pacific Theater. Good job. All right, good. So, especially in the Pacific Theater, what battle changed that? I guess say that motivation, that lead here. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Battle of Midway.
Yeah, Battle of Midway. Good job. Battle of Midway, the turning point in Pacific Theater, and we knew that was mostly out in the open waters, aircraft carriers versus aircraft carriers, and obviously dogfights up in the open air there. Okay, good, good. So that's a turning point in Pacific. Good. So, what strategy we're going to utilize to push back the Japanese? What strategy is that called again? Troy? Island hopping. Yep, good job. So, it's just like we're moving island, pushing Japan back to their own borders. Okay, so we're going to put, how you say, the war in Pacific on the back burner for a little bit right now. Okay, what else? By 1943, what else is going on here? Serene, go ahead.
The Germans had lost in Africa.
Yeah, in Africa, good. And what was that operation again by the Allied powers?
Oh. Okay. It was, yeah, I'm blank with it.
Anyone else? Troy?
Torch.
Yeah, Operation Torch, good job. So Eisenhower, general, leading that invasion into northern Africa. And we talked about it, resources especially, cutting them off, and because that was a soft underbelly, right? And we could push out a lot of Vichy France, okay, their forces there. And it was interesting. FDR and many of the American generals said, well, we're only going to fire back if they fire at us, because we thought that many of these members of Vichy France would just jump sides to the Allied powers. I always thought that was interesting. Okay, good, good. What else, Griffin?
They made part of Italy.
Yeah, all right, good. So invasion in Italy. So we talked about Operation, what was it again? Invasion onto Sicily, that small island below Italy. The Bloomsburg what? Where are they? What's their logo? Yeah, the Husky. Yeah, good job. Operation Husky. Oh, look at that. Bloomsburg sweatshirt. Yeah. So invaded onto Sicily. Okay, moving up the coast, the United States kind of invading onto the western coast of Italy, right where Rome's at. And by 1943, who surrenders then? Who surrenders by 1943? We invaded it and just talked about it, Jeffrey. Italy. Yep, good job. So it looks like one of the powers is gone, right? Mussolini still has some sort of control, as it looks like they're in a civil war in a way, right? They're split up. Northern Italy is still with the Axis powers. Mussolini said still has some control up there, up until his death. He's killed right around 1945. Okay, but Italy surrenders. Good. What else? What else is going on now? Unbelievable. Well, sorry. Before we move on to the next, what now can the Allied powers do with this invasion of Italy, established in Italy? Troy?
Germany.
Yeah, bomb Germany. Good job. And that's why I introduced that story there with the massacre in Russelsheim, because it's an interesting story. Obviously, bombing runs over Germany, and it's unfortunate some of these pilots get shot down and mistreated harshly. Okay. But yeah, now the Allied powers have control of the skies. Okay, from here on out, the Luftwaffe, German Air Force, is out of commission. Good. What else then? Finally, last thing here. What changed the tide in Europe, especially in the Eastern Front here? What battle was it? We watched a movie on it. Griffin? Stalingrad. Yep, good job. Stalingrad. Good, 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 good. All right, so that's all that, right? It's turning the tides here in World War II. It looks like the Allied powers, it's inevitable when they're going to win. It's going to take some time yet. The Axis powers are going to still fight for a long period of time, but this is obviously looking pretty good for the Allied powers. All right, just one term for today. Those of you having me in American history, you know it. We talked about it quite a bit. But the Tehran Conference. There you go. So after this invasion of southern Italy, after the Stalingrad, obviously, the Allied powers wanted to get together. Okay, this is the second conference, but the first with the big three. Okay, we talked about that one conference before. It was really setting up this invasion in North Africa and into Italy. And that was, what was that one again? What was that one again? It means White House in Spanish. Jeffrey? Yeah, Casablanca. Good job. Good work. All right, there you go. Tehran Conference. All right, what do we got here? Tehran Conference. What do we have? Kira, what do you have?
Our team began with Stalin, Roosevelt, and Churchill.
Yeah, good job. Big three. So Stalin, Roosevelt, Churchill. And what do they talk about here? What do they talk about? What do they talk about? Jeffrey, go ahead.
Three-front war in Europe.
All right, three-front war. Okay, good. So we already had two, Eastern Front, Soviet Union, Germany. Looks like the Soviets are pushing them back pretty good. And then we already know about the Southern Front in Europe as the Allied powers, Great Britain, United States, are moving up through Italy. Okay, now where are they going to attack? Where are they going to look to attack? Jeffrey, go ahead. Control.
Right, yeah, boots in France.
Yeah, northern France, right? Okay, an invasion in Normandy. That's what's really being established here in this conference. Okay, and Stalin's really pushing for this. Why do you think Stalin, of all people, pushing for this invasion? Jeffrey?
Three-front war were greatly increased the chances of Soviet Union getting to Germany to stop that.
All right, yeah, right. So three fronts. Yeah, two fronts is hard to fight on, but three fronts now. Germany would be defeated pretty quick if we decided to launch this invasion into northern France. Roosevelt, he's like, yeah, you know what? We probably should get involved here. We should probably invade into northern France. He knows it's going to be hard. It's going to be a difficult invasion, which it will be, which we'll talk about. But it's trustworthy, obviously. It definitely needs to happen because Stalin, Soviet Union, they did their part. They held back the German army and are now moving them back. Okay, they're now pushing Germany back to their own borders. So it's the least, right, that FDR can do, and Great Britain as they're moving to invade into northern France, right? And we all know that as the D-Day invasion. And they assigned someone to lead this invasion. Who is it? He'll later be president. What's his name? What's his name here? Autumn, do you know? Eisenhower. Good job. Good job. Dwight Eisenhower. Good work. So they're setting up Operation Overlord. Also with this event, with this conference, Turkey and Iran are trying to communicate their stance as an independent country after World War II. Right? They don't want to be influenced by the Soviet Union, by the United States. Okay? And why do you think they're trying to really speak out and let it be known that they want to be their own independent nation without any type of influence there? Jeffrey, what do you think?
Because they've seen what happened if someone takes over too much control of part of the language and part of the world.
Okay. What's their abundance in Turkey and Iran now, especially? Yeah, oil. Good job. Good job. So they knew after this war, most likely, that'll be a battleground. That will be an area where there's going to be a lot of conflict. So they're trying to speak out to the big three here because we all know that these three countries are probably going to dictate post-World War II what's going to go on, what's going to happen. Because we know two of these countries are going to be superpowers. And Great Britain, I mean, they're still really a strong power after the war as well. So they wanted to make sure that there wouldn't be any conflict, any issues in these countries after World War II. So is there a lot of issues and conflicts there? Yeah, quite a bit, quite a bit. So I guess you say maybe we didn't hold up our end of the bargain and the Soviet Union, right? Or Russia. But Now, that's what they're trying to dictate. And again, this is significant because it's the first time these three powers meet. And why was it so impactful? Why was it like a shock to many people in the world? We all know that they're on the same sides in World War II. But why else here? Troy, go ahead. Yeah, good job, right? So we have Great Britain and United States, Churchill and Roosevelt pushing democracy, free elections, capitalism, you name it. And then they're meeting with a communist leader, Stalin. Okay, this is a huge shock, right? But at the same time, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? And they all came together to try to decide what's going to happen moving forward. And with this conference especially, they're trying to push for this D-Day invasion. That's what Stalin wants the most, okay? And from this invasion, they come up with Germany first priority, okay? So that's the priority. Take care of Germany. So the United States, okay, they won't receive any type of help or any type of aid until Germany's defeated. Churchill agreed to that. It's like, yeah, you know what? Germany is a dominant threat. They are the biggest threat in the world right now. We need to make sure we can take them down before we move somewhere else. Okay, Japan, we'll focus on them a little bit later, right? Okay, good, good, good. And then finally, what do you think Roosevelt would want from this? What do you think? Troy, go ahead. Yeah, good job. So they actually stated, yeah, we'll help you out, the Soviet Union. We'll help the United States out after Germany's taken care of. So out in the Pacific theater against Japan, Soviet Union, they will benefit the U.S. Once Germany's defeated. Once they're defeated first, though. All right, and then finally, why do you think they met in Iran? Iran's way out here, Tehran. Okay, it actually points it out on the map right here. Why do you think they met there? What do you think? War's going on here, right? And war's going on like here. I think there. Yeah, isolated. Okay, out of the way, remote location. Good work. Good job. What else, Troy?
Closer to Stalin.
Yeah, closer to Stalin. Try to appease them a little bit, right? The only way they're going to get Stalin to come to this conference is if it's almost in his backyard, if it's close to him. If they try to decide to have this conference in the United States or in Great Britain, he most likely wouldn't come, right? And they needed to make sure that he came so they can decide what may happen moving forward. So that all these, the allied powers, the main allied powers, can meet together and decide what's the next move, okay? And they needed some sort of cooperation, right? That's for sure. That's for sure. So Churchill, he is going to be a little bit leery about this relationship with the Soviet Union, okay? And he's a little leery about what may happen after World War II if the Soviet Union continues to move Germany back to their own borders. What do you think the Soviet Union is going to do with that land that they take over, that they move Germany back on? Jeffrey?
Communists.
Yeah, right. They're going to spread communism to these areas, and that's going to be a huge conflict after World War II, which is going to result in the Cold War. And many people argue that the Cold War starts right here in 1943, okay? Because Stalin especially is trying to point out what he wants from this conference, what he wants post-World War II. And with that being said, this is going to lead to a conflict after World War II, which is going to be known as the Cold War. Okay, is there any questions on the Tehran Conference? Main thing, D-Day invasion set up. We're going to create a three-front war in Europe. That's the main thing here. And obviously Stalin, he's really pushing what he wants. And Roosevelt, he agrees to it, right? He agrees to it. Why do you think Roosevelt kind of just almost bends the knee to him, just allows what he wants? What do you think? What do you think, Griffin?
He doesn't want to have a bad relationship.
Okay.
Right now.
Yeah, building a strong relationship especially. But why else? Was Eastern Front brutal? Yeah, the Soviets lost how many men in the war, do you know? You don't know? Want to help them out, Troy?
26 million.
26 million. Unbelievable, right? The United States only lost 500,000. So 26 million compared to 500,000. They're just like, you know what? If anything, you deserve a little bit, right? You deserve some, I guess say, rewards from this war. So that's kind of why they lead towards Stalin a little bit for appeasing him, right? Appeasing him. Can't appease him too much, right? We did that start of World War II with Hitler, and he took a little bit more than what was actually offered. Okay, all right. So is there any questions on that, guys? Good, okay. There you go.